Hi, folks. Welcome to you wherever you are listening from. My name is Kalu. Welcome to another X Spaces with me. Here, of course, we're talking money, the economy, and of course, personal finance. We want to make it personal to you. How do the topics of the week affect your wallet? That's the whole idea on this space. This week, we're talking about, I would say, the reforms of the Central Bank of Nigeria, what they are doing right now as regards the exchange rate policy. If you are unaware, last week, the Central Bank of Nigeria removed uh, the restriction on 43 items from accessing the foreign exchange market in Nigeria. So let me give you some background, right? I believe it was in June 2015, the Central Bank of Nigeria brought a list that had 41 items, was later increased to 45 items. And the idea was that these items, you could not go to a bank in Nigeria to request for foreign exchange to import those goods. And those goods range from rice to tomatoes to meat to iron rods, just a bevy of products. The idea, CBN's idea was very simple. Why they were doing it was very simple. If you look at the oil price as at June 2015, let's go back. If you look at the oil price as at June 2014, oil prices were in excess of $100 a barrel, Brent crude, $100 a barrel. If you go 1 year after, from 2014 to 2015, oil prices has crashed to $59 a barrel. So in essence, if you had planned a budget in 2014 for 2015, your budget just got shredded to bits, right? Because your income, where you thought you're going to get your forex from, had gone down by 50%, more or less. That's actually what happened. And of course, what the Central Bank of Nigeria, or what all central banks do, when the dollar price or the earnings from crude oil reduce, you have two options as a central bank in Nigeria. Number one, you can defend the naira exchange rate to the dollar, which means the naira as you see it today, the value derives from crude oil exports. When Nigeria exports crude oil and we earn a lot of dollars, our naira is very strong. Strong means that you can exchange maybe one naira for, like, say, 200, right? Very strong. But when we don't export crude oil, the naira becomes very, very weak, which means you can use $1 and you get almost 400 or more, right? Keep in mind we're using only crude oil because Nigerian non-oil exports are very, very weak. So we can't even talk about cocoa. We can't talk about all that stuff. It's very, very low, very, very inconsequential to the total export. So rather than just saying exports, we're going to say crude oil exports because the bulk of our FX comes from crude oil. Now we have urea, which is Dangote urea fertilizers exports, but still the bulk of our exports come from crude oil. So in 2015, when crude oil prices fell from $100 a barrel a year before to $59 a barrel, the Nigerian government could have defended, which means they take their reserves and they buy naira and they sell dollars. That would make the naira rise in value. Or they devalue, which means that they would weaken the naira in relation to the dollar. So they will keep their reserves. So understand what's happening here. Your reserves, you can either use your reserves and defend your currency, in which case you have a strong naira but low reserves. Or you can retain your reserves and devalue, in which case you retain your reserves but your naira becomes weak. Those are the two options. You defend or you devalue. The Central Bank of Nigeria did not choose either of them. Rather, it chose an administrative means to reduce demand, in the market. So it did this by presenting this list of 41, later 44 items to say, hey, if you want to import these goods, right, we will not sell you dollars from a bank that we regulate. So you can import rice by going to a bank in Nigeria. So what then happened? That meant that if I want to import rice, I have to go to the other market, the black market, to get my dollars. So like any other market, if more people go to a particular market, what happens? That market becomes the de facto real market because it's the market where you have the willing buyer, the willing seller, and a market determined price. The central bank's exchange rate of, say, 486 has a willing seller, CBN, has a willing buyer, because everybody wants to buy from the CBN because that CBN dollar price is very low. So everybody in Nigeria wants the CBN dollar. But when it's time to sell, the CBN becomes the first buyer, but nobody wants to sell to the CBN because the rate is too low. You see how the CBN shot itself in the foot? When you make the naira very strong, the importers run to you because they can get cheap dollars to import. But the exporters will run away from you because the returns you are giving them is low as compared to the black market. That's the genesis of the problem we have in Nigeria, i.e., the Central Bank of Nigeria's exchange rate policy. It encourages imports because it kept a strong naira, and it discourages exports because it keeps a strong naira. The 44 items mean that you don't have a real market based on a buyer and a seller. And the price is, of course, pegged, which means it's a subsidy to importers. That's what we had prior to 2023. Now, President Tinubu has come in. He has depegged the naira from the dollar, which means now that you no longer have a CBN rate of 486 or whatever. It's a market determined trade, they say. Willing buyer, willing seller. But they retain the 44 items. So the same thing is happening. The importers will run to the CBN or to the banks because they want to buy cheap dollars. But when the exporters have dollars, they will not come to the CBN because they want to sell their dollars at a higher price. And why is there an arbitrage? Because the 44 items does not create a real market. The black market, folks, is the real market, not the CBN, folks. So the CBN has realized the error and has removed the 44 items, 43 items from the list of banned goods. So essentially, they're saying if you want to buy, you want to sell, if you come to the Central Bank of Nigeria, you can do both, which means a bank like, say, Zenith now will be able to sell you dollars to buy rice and receive your inflow when you sell that rice in Nigeria. This policy, will it increase remittance of dollars? That's not the intention. This policy is not designed to bridge or to increase remittances. It is designed to remove the advantage the P2P boys are enjoying. P2P meaning the black market boys are enjoying because those guys are able to trade on both sides. They can buy and they can sell because they are a free market. The banks in Nigeria cannot buy and sell because they can't buy and sell. You can't buy and sell rice, iron rods, tomato, meat. So are we saying we want to encourage import by this policy? No. We are saying that the market will determine what they will buy. If you bring imported rice, the market will price it. If they can afford it, they will buy it. If they can't afford it, they'll walk away. So it's the market that will determine what will be sold, not the CBN, not the Central Bank of Nigeria. So in essence now, imagine what CBN has done. They've unleashed the Nigerian banks to go out now and go get deposits in dollars. They will now go to their friends and say, hey, if you want to import, you want to export, we will give you the same price you would have gotten from the P2P market. And it's going to be regulated. We'll give you your tax papers. It's legal transfer. So they've equalized the market. There's no more 12 naira to pay you to bring dollars in. It's equal. Both players are now equal. Who do you think wins this game? Who do you think wins this game? I saw a report about a guy, a fintech in Ghana that failed because they were involved in currency. They were trying to do currency arbitrage, buying Nigerian naira and importing dollars to meet Nigeria to meet demands for imports of Nigerians. And of course, they got scammed. They paid in $1 million into an account, and the guy disappeared. Your banks won't do that. All that the banks in Nigeria have to do is now to open up LCs and get a source of dollars flowing into them, because now they can fund anything, which means they can also receive anything. In the past, they can't fund certain items, hence they can't receive those imports. Why would you put money in the bank when the bank can't fund your imports? Now the banks can. So I'm not here. I've got Olumide with me to also give me his own take on the CBN policy. Olumide, I tried to give like an overview of what I think is going on with my own opinion, right? I'm not sure. Did I miss anything? Do you agree with me? What's your take on this new policy to take away for the three items from the central bank's list of banned, not valid for forex? Go ahead.
Good evening. Sorry for
Olumide, also introduce yourself, please.
The details on why the CBN lifted restriction on FX restriction for two items. But I think I want to go a bit deeper. So for you highlighted the fact that what the Apex Bank was trying to work on is all unique markets where there would not be different windows, and every asset that wants to get purchase dollars, or any entity that wants to purchase their dollars can go through that one window. That ensures transparency and efficiency on paper. But the issue is that we need to understand that the most important thing facing the FX market is liquidity. And if you understand, one of the problems we've been facing is not the policies in itself, but the inconsistency of those policies. So at that time, the reason why those first two items was put in place was because of the pressure in our FX market. And they felt that the Apex Bank felt at that time that they could invest in local production, whereby reducing FX rather than and bringing more FX to the country's earning. But it hasn't worked, and we had many reasons why it didn't work. But we need to also look at the fact that it's going to get worse, and it's already showing why it will get worse. So first of all, if you look at Friday, for example, on the FMGQ, volumes were about $15 million in the FX market. The Naira didn't blink. Speculators are still moving the P2P market. So there are three issues we are facing. First of all, we have not eroded the advantage in the P2P and black market. A few hours ago, I had friends that moved between $30,000 to $50,000 in the P2P market smoothly. Why? Because they didn't have to drop their tax receipts. They didn't have many bureaucratic processes. While you could say yes, they were prone to scams, but the sophistication of many of these P2P traders has really suppressed those concerns. So it's very difficult accessing the official channel. Then we've not cleared the FX backlogs. So the speculators are doubting that where that money comes from. We've seen what happened in Israel, where within a matter of hours, the Bank of Israel brought in $30 billion to defend the shekel. And you could see that at some point it stabilized. That was the efficiency of having a substantial amount of FX. So if you look at Nigeria's imports in 2022, CBN did that. We brought in $18.37 billion. That's less than 1% of what China imported in 2022. China imported more than $2.7 trillion worth of goods. And if you also break it down, look at invisibles and services, imports and goods. Look at invisibles too. Importing about just $14.2 billion. And while America is the world's biggest economy, it hasn't really shown in our FX market. The most important market in terms of capital importation is United Kingdom. About 40% of our capital importation comes from that place. So one begins to wonder what is really happening with our remittance. Three things. The P2P market has shown by analysis that Nigerians moved about 56.5 trillion naira in the past year. That have gone through banks. And if you look at the sophistication of our FX market, despite the fact that you see assets, First Bank, UBA, building subsidiaries in the United Kingdom based on your important exposure the market brings to Nigeria's FX market, it's really run by R&B, Standard Chartered, City. So the question right now is how can the Apex Bank bring liquidity? I think we might have to divide it again. That's why I said we might follow Egypt's playbook because 1.5 million, $1.5 billion, we won't do nothing with our condition. And the way we have fiscal expenses problems are, we have a deficit that is almost going close to 8 trillion naira. We have a public debt of about over 87 trillion, trillion naira. If you put that in dollar terms, that's about $113 billion. Though the IMF said that such debt exposure is manageable, but it means that we can't really spend our way. So the question is, why are we having a political elite that refuse to understand that the FX market is suffering from anemic issues of the economy? We are not producing as a country. We are not even consuming. So if a country of 200 million people can import $18 billion worth of goods, and if you look at the export position, as you rightly mentioned, we put oil prices even at $90 a barrel. So, they've been completing reports by the Minister of State of Petroleum Affairs and the OPEC reports. We don't know which one to believe. When they say that Nigeria now produces 1.5 million, around the same Nigeria produces 1.7 barrels a day. But still at that, if you break down that metric, they added condensate. And condensate are low hydrocarbons. They don't give you the kind of price you get from Swiss crude. So we really have a revenue problem, and we have a political elite that really look like spending like budget. Yeah,
Gotcha.
I think some days ago we tweeted about the luxurious cars we're creating. So we don't really have money in the FX market, and that's why I'm not really happy. Yes, I'm happy that it's a good step in the right direction, but that's not the issue right now. The issue everybody's waiting for is clear the FX backlogs. Why is it taking the former CBN governor said to take a matter of days to 2 weeks? Now it's taking months, it's stretching. So it means that we have an FX credibility problem. Our market is highly liquid, and it's getting worse. The US Fed fund is above 5%. The US yield curve is inverted. That means investors are not looking at a strong economic outlook in the long term, so they are interested in short-term gains, and that really puts pressure on the cost of borrowing for Nigeria. What makes it worse next year is that we're going to start paying our Eurobond obligation with the kind of spending our present politicians are addicted to and our obligation. The question is we have to keep borrowing or printing money. So that's somewhere.
Oh, look, yeah. Let me bring it down to bit sized, right? Let me ask a question to you now. When the CBN takes away the 43 items, I make the argument that what they have done is to allow a bank like Zenith and First Bank and GT to now compete directly with the P2P folks. Because now, if I'm an importer of rice, I can go to GT Bank. I trust GT Bank. I know the bank is there. With P2P, I don't know who the counterparty is. I've talked about the fraud of $1 million that happened with one of the fintechs, I believe in Nigeria or Ghana. That's a substantial move now that the Nigerian banks can go and market a Dangote, all the SMEs, and say, open an account with us. We will fund you. And they don't have to get dollars from the CBN. Is that a correct statement in your estimation? What do you think?
Yeah, so you're talking about the fraud, yes, the fraud exposure mechanism. Definitely, bank channels are much more safer, but banks themselves are very complicated right now. To run an FX transaction, like I said, you need to drop tax receipts, you need to go through different channels. In fact, sometimes it looks like you're writing a professional exam. But you see, the P2P market is getting much more sophisticated. Despite the fraud concerns you have, they moved to 6.5 trillion naira. If it went through banks, trust me, banks will be hitting a lot from commissions. Another thing you need to also understand is that we've missed the ship in terms of official remittance. The former CBN governor said it, but a lot of people didn't take it. There is funds coming in. I can tell you, there are funds coming in Nigeria's economy, but it's not going through the official channel. And one of the signs you know is the P2P market. You know, Nigerians are the biggest. Nigeria is the biggest crypto and fintech market. So by origin, Nigerians in diaspora are kind of a bit sophisticated. And you cannot compare a market in the United States where opportunities are almost the same. You have access to your dollar, you can go to. It's not the same in Nigeria. So, with the risk you are concerned about, I think it's not really telling in the P2P market. Another problem banks are also having again is that we don't have big players that bring in FX. You look at Africa, for example, they have NAFSA, they have MTN. We don't have bigger than our biggest FX and cabal is the remittance, it's diaspora.
It's Dangote.
A big company that produces that bringing big that we can say we can and that's why if you look at the FX market in terms of inflows and outflows, City, Standard Chartered, because they are sustaining of big banks. So yes, I do believe that it will really, but we have a lot of issues, bureaucracy issue, liquidity issue, and the fact that banks themselves also they've not been a bit transparent in the market and the way they build in prices. You know, a lot of people sometimes complain about the fact that prices they see on the board is not what they are treated on. So these are things also that are already relevant. So for the banks to get the market share, CBN really has to do something with the crypto market. So they have to bring buyers in the room. So Olimde,
I'm
not saying
Olimde.
ban the crypto market, but you need to understand that we lost the war.
Yeah, Olimde.
Behavioral finance will tell you that it takes much more effort when you use the word than just staying off. Because if you keep saying that, oh, you keep us putting solution. Because the truth of the matter is, yeah, if you ask the majority of guys on this call that bringing money through overseas, where do they? Many of them will not tell you banks. Many of them will not tell you fintechs. So the question is, even if the CBN unifies all the market and if remitters are not using that channel, then it's defeated. So they need to have the behavioral understanding that Nigerians in diaspora have less trust in the operation. Why? Because it's very difficult to make transactions in the official channel. You also need to look at the fact that because of that, you have suppressed the wealth of the stock market. I was telling you.
Olimde, hold on. I want us to move from here to the next topic. Like, I'm not really sure. I want to be clear before we move ahead, right? I still say, right, because the Nigerian banks can now play fully in the market, can now offer you a quote bid, and offer price to the market, right? They will attract flows. The 56 trillion you talk about is because Nigerian banks could not play in the market. The largest FX importer to Nigeria today is Dangote as an institution, Dangote Fertilizer as an institution, as one institution. But Dangote also import, I don't know if he still does rice imports and the rest. The point I make is this, right? If a Nigerian now goes to GT Bank to import rice, he can open up an LC. GT Bank can go and get dollars offshore, knowing that it can fund this LC for rice in Nigeria without even going to the Central Bank of Nigeria. So UBA, all their locations across Africa, in the US, there is now a business line for them to raise dollars and to finance imports to Nigeria. They couldn't do it before because why would I put funds in your bank if your bank cannot fund my import? That's where I'm going to. So I want us to get from there. Let's.
But I think I agree with you. But what you need to look at is what are the key reasons? Because what makes the market is liquidity. And trust me,
Yeah.
for those that know how the market works, the more liquidity in the market, the more efficient the market is.
True.
Yes, the banks can make the difference, but do the banks have that liquidity? I doubt. Because I'm looking at CBN's number, I'm looking at Invisible, what we brought in 2022, CBN data. The financial sector brought in $10.5 billion. Now that's to do that for you in a week.
But that's because. But that's because.
If you look at, and that's why I mentioned that. See, capability of the banks. The problem is the level of their capability. We don't have that. So, like, if it was before the crypto ban, when there was no crypto, when you said we fly, but right now they have a very strong rival. And I'm not just talking about the crypto market. There's also the fintech. There's also apps that bring in innovative ways of bringing money in that the CBN are very captured. You know? So these are things that we also need to look at. And that was why I was very upset when the CBN banned from Guinea. It was too long. It was too long. I've not seen any country, even the Chinese, that they had a way to circle it around. Because what you now did was that you created a Chinese wall between those that could make the difference and institutional investors. Institutional investors are not making money like we have seen before because FPIs and FDIs are not coming in.
Yeah, but
How would
Olumide,
you say
to this point, Olumide, to this point, right? An FDI on a guy who wants to do FPI to buy Nigerian bonds will not use crypto, will not use fintech. A guy, State Street guy that wants to do 100 million to buy Nigerian bond isn't going to go through Binance. The guys in Binance, right, are the guys that were in Nigerian banks and were kicked out and then ran to Binance. So these guys, I mean, remittance, when Remittance Nigeria started, if you look at the poll, 2004, 2005, that's when remittances started to take off in Nigeria. 04, 05, it took off in Nigeria and it stayed up till now because it became easier to send money from the US, UK to Nigeria. It's just the channel. I don't think it's Binance. It's just the channel. Whatever channel is easier and less.
Yeah, but when I say to just retrace your statement, if the channel has been working, if you look at MBS data, NDI and FPI this year
crashed.
Have been dropping. Yeah. Why has it been dropping?
The macroeconomic picture, the macroeconomic picture is bad. That's why it's dropping. And where I'm going to is this, right? In the end, if there are less circulars, if there is less oversight, because every week there's a new circular on Forex, you can't do this, you can't do that. The other week, Olam is under investigation for supposedly bringing in dollars and using the dollars how it wants. I read again a report last week where is it a bank or a bureau of charge brought in their own dollars. They flew in dollars into Nigeria and were sent these dollars at their own price, and CBN queried them. So if CBN takes its eye off all this and simply says, willing buyer, willing seller, willing sell, whatever in the market, sell your dollars, I think the dollar price comes down. Bulk of the dollar increase in prices is because of the perception that the dollar is going to keep on going higher and higher every week. If that perception persists, then the guys that buy and import are always going to do replacement pricing at a higher price, anticipating that dollar will go up. But if there's less noise about this dollar, if CBN stays off the P2P, allows you, if I have $1 million to sell, I bring it into Nigeria, I sell at my own price, I move on. What's CBN's business with this? Let CBN focus on NNPC. The thing starts to drop. This is all psychology. I don't think the real exchange for Nigerian naira to a dollar is 1,004. Why is it 1,004? What are we selling? If we import something at 1,004, who is buying it? But it's because if you buy at 1,001, it goes to 1,002, goes to 1,003, goes to 1,004. So it's now a means of me arbitrage to invest. I buy dollar, I sell dollar. I'm not really importing or exporting.
Yeah, I used to share that sentiment too, but I think I'm a bit pessimistic about that because,
Gotcha.
first of all, if you look at the elephant in the room, NNPC, it has a lot of issues. It's only on traders about $3 billion. We're not even payment about that. And the fact
What happened to that 3 billion?
Get additional liquidity raise concerns. Another problem we need to understand is that speculators have become very sophisticated because we also need to look at the fact that we don't really know the true value of Nigeria's FX assets with the Apex Bank. And like I said, the markets cannot be deceived. Time will always reveal the true state of whatever things is happening. So first of all, the fact that we've not been able to clear our FX backlogs for many months suggests that we don't really have money.
Where do you think? Well, let me.
Export and import also is at anemic levels. I mentioned earlier. You see, I understand the fact that we basically saying on paper these things will really work. And I share the fact that the increasing value of the naira should not be at 1,000 naira. But the reality is that the CBN has been unable to meet its forward obligation. That is unheard of. If your central bank cannot meet forward obligation,
That's crazy, man.
then
That's crazy.
entity, what
That's
level of
crazy.
financial credibility are you giving investors?
Olumide, where can they get that 6 billion? Let's call it 7 billion, nice and round. Where can they get that 7 billion from?
Hold on. To be honest with you, I would say they have to. It's very hard right now because.
Why don't they? Let me ask you a question. If CBN brought out a paper, right, a paper for 7 billion broken into $10 bills and all that kind of stuff, and they said it's a diaspora bond, impact bond, they're going to sell it to Americans or whatever to a diaspora, it's going to pay 6%, 6%, 10 years or whatever. Don't you think? I mean, start from there, doing a $100 chunk. Start from there. Maybe give it some.
I don't think so.
You don't think people will buy?
So because if you look at the bond market, for example, the safest bond market is United States, and the sellers will be saying the bond market is why treasury yields are going up. And I spoke earlier, the yield curve is going inverted. So investors are picking short-term debt. And debt is not safe.
Yeah, but what I'm looking for is to say.
Well, it still can be backed by oil. This oil output is not credible. So I understand your concern, but the truth of the matter is where we can get that money is selling key assets. We have to sell assets. No country right now is going to dip their hands in their pocket to be in for Christmas. And that's why my concerns was that I don't know the magic the finance minister is going to do right now because the optics are showing that it's only countries that have strong economic alliance. And that was my problem with the former administration. We had the opportunity to tap into key alliance with powerful countries. So in times of problem, you have somebody to pay you out. You don't just go to somebody. It's just like a personal relationship card. If I don't have a relationship with you, I can't just come and meet you for a bid out. Even if you have the funds, you just throw me out. But if I build that relationship with you over the years, and I say, countries, I need something for you. Even if you might be tight, you might try to see how you can come. And that's how alliance is. We don't have an alliance, we don't have strong institutions, we are definitely and
Okay,
keep showing up like a
okay, we have a few guys.
Investors are not buying these things. But however, things will still change because if you look at the fact that there's still some investors looking at the fact that Nigeria is heavily deleveraged, which is true. Most of the assets in Nigeria are depressed because FPIs are not able to come in. But the question right now is that we've not cleared the FX backlogs. Once you clear the FX backlogs and airlines are happy, then investors might start considering taking those cheap assets.
Okay, let me just. Well, lots of guys want to speak, so I'm going to add some guys to speak now. But the point I'm making is this, right? When we send in remittances, we're sending 25 billion, but that's welfare remittances, $25 billion annually. But that's welfare, i.e., Papa Emeka wants to send money to my Emeka in America. So Houston to Aba, we send $100 welfare. I am saying, can there be a mechanism where the CBN works with with American banks in, say, in America, in Europe, in China, to say, if you want to send money back home to Nigeria, put it into this bank account, and we will give Naira no cost, absolutely no cost, to your Nigerian, whatever person in Nigeria. No cost. You put $100, we will give them exactly the difference at market rate, no cost to them in Lagos. They pick it up. So we are sweeping these dollars from foreign capitals to then pay off that 6.8 because the money is already flowing. There's already 25 billion. When I travel, say, oh, give it to my mom, I put money in my pocket. Give it to my dad, I put money in my pocket. That's $1,000 right there. But if those guys could go to the fintech app and put the same money there, and CBN can go to those fintech app and say, give us these dollars, we will give you Naira locally at the same price. There's something there that can happen. It's 6.8 billion, but the remittances flow is 25 billion. Welfare. It's not FDI, it's not FPI, it's welfare. There's a middle road there that we can meet. That's where I'm going to with that suggestion. But let's run the room. Let's run the room. There are a few guys I want to speak. I've got Abida Kilch at Udu. Yes. Yeah, go for it, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you, Carl.
Hey, what's up, man?
Thank you. It's pronounced I give a case.
All right.
Yeah. So as far as forex and just ease of people being able to send money across, I think there's a huge market as well of Nigerians who have naira that need dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Just a bunch, a chunk of them actually. So to make it very easy, if we can implement a peer-to-peer system, which will be regulated by an escrow, whereby just somebody like I'm in US, I have $20, I'm trying to send it to Nigeria. I'll go into the app and put a sell order kind of. I have $20, I'm trying to sell it to Naira, and I can put my exchange rate depending on what the market looks like. And somebody else who is in Nigeria that needs dollars can come in and exchange with me, and all this will be controlled by an escrow company to guarantee security and avoid fraud risk. If something like that could be implemented, I think it would make it
I think we have things like that. I mean, I use an app called the Kiyoshi. They do peer to peer. So if I want to send money abroad, I go to their app, I plug in my information. Someone in Nigeria or UK picks it up, and I give them naira. They give me dollars. So Kiyoshi does that, and we have lots of apps. What I'm saying is this, right? Kiyoshi can sign something with the CBN to say all that dollar they are collecting from me they will sell it to the CBN because the money is going to flow either ways. Like Olumide has said, the money is going through P2P today. So the money is going to flow. 56 trillion is not beans. The money is going to flow. But can the CBN plug itself in and say, okay, let's buy these dollars from you? We have the naira. We will give you the naira, and then we'll take it from you. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Yeah. But peer to peer already exists. Whatever way you want to do it.
The point I was trying to make is, just due to inflation and naira keeps losing value.
Mhm.
This is just like a general advice I'll give anybody that lives in Nigeria. You should also try to look at investing in more stable economy, because most of the issue that we have in there with Nigeria is because of policy and corruption as far as our government. There are very easy assets that you can buy with as low as $100. They are very stable in other countries. Doing research and putting your money in an economy that is stronger is definitely a benefit, because if you have invested like $5,000 probably like 3 years ago in such an investment, when you're bringing it back to Nigeria, you now enjoy whatever high exchange rate that that dollar have with naira. So that was the next point that I wanted to make. So thank you.
Yeah, good. I mean, again, again, we said the point. Look at the main elephant in the room to Nigeria. The cost of imports is cheaper than the cost of local production. And that's the biggest problem we have in Nigeria. That if I see something imported, it's actually cheaper than a locally produced item. As long as that continues to stay, then the economy really can't improve. Imports cannot be cheaper than locally made products. It just can't happen. I've got my next guy, Malam Mohammed.
I just want to ask question when you are making your submission concerning if somebody maybe from America have maybe $100 and send it to maybe a commercial bank, let's say maybe GTB Bank here. So who determines the rate?
The market is going to be the market. Like
which market then? Is it the parallel market?
Yeah, the parallel market is going to be the rate. Because the parallel market is the willing buyer, willing seller market determined rate. So like if I make 10 bids and there are 5 offers, then the system will match them and say this is the average price. So if I want to buy at 10 or 11 or 10.5 and you want to sell at 9, 10, 11, the system will say this is the average price and that becomes the market price. Like how it's on the stock market. So it's not going to be a government price.
So in essence, what you are saying, if even CBN got its own dollar, probably from maybe NNPC or other source, can go to the same maybe commercial bank and sell it to get the market rate.
I am saying I'm saying today, what you have today is a market that is the price are determined by the demand and supply, right? Demand, supply determine the price. The problem they had was the banks could not compete because they could not sell 41 items. So now they've unleashed the banks and said, you guys can do whatever you want. The same way P2P is doing. Go and do the same. Let the market determine if goods can be imported or exported. So what will happen is that the banks can now go to those P2P customers and say, instead of sending your money to a P2P, send it through us. We will give you a better rate because the banks would use that dollar and fund importers.
Okay, so that market that determine that price, what factors that influence its rates? Maybe what are the factors that
It's just demand and supply.
high or go low?
It's just demand and supply. If there's more demand for dollar, it will go higher. If there's more demand for naira, it goes, demand and supply.
So you can see that's the problem. That is the major problem. And I think this is where we need to focus our attention in. Our major problem is we are demanding too much dollar and we have less supply of dollar. So if the only solution to this problem is to create how we can get this more supply, and if we can have it decrease where the demand, we can reduce the demand if we can. And I think with the banning of these items by the previous CBN governor, I think it's the right direction.
Yeah, but Malam, let me ask a question. There's imported rice in Nigeria. The dollars to import that rice came from the same CBN. CBN will sell the same dollar to BDC. I will simply write and say, I want to go to school abroad. I get dollars. I sell back to the same BDC. The same BDC will give it to the same importer who imports the same rice at subsidized prices. It's corruption. So you cannot ban or artificially say you reduce demand by saying don't apply. It doesn't work. If you look at Nigeria's import duty today, Nigeria no longer imports rice. Nigeria does not import rice. Where's the rice imported? Benin Republic. The amount of rice Benin eats.
I agree with you.
We are wasting our time, Mohammed.
I might not agree with you that the sum dollar that is given by the CBN is the same dollar that.
So where did they get dollars from? Where do they get dollars from?
The dollar that CBN that is coming to Nigeria is not the only dollar that is being circulated.
So where do they get it from?
We hear that there are a lot of remittances from outside. And in this country also, there are people that normally bring dollar to buy gold, particularly these illegal miners. They brought in those monies to buy those things, and we can also get dollar from those people. So there are several ways that we get this dollar. And I think if it is even that problem, I think the CBN has a better way of monitoring all those monies. And I think it's better to do that than to reintroduce this issue. Because at the end of the day, if we don't have this supply of dollar again, both the on-ban and the ban items, people that are importing those items, will still go back to that parallel market again. Because the CBN cannot supply all of them, and we are still going back to square one. It's not even add more injuries to the problem.
So get the point, sir. So let's go back to the point, right? The whole idea is if you have a CBN rate that is subsidized, you are subsidizing imports. If you want to watch DSTV and you pay for DSTV in dollars and you can't afford DSTV, you watch NTA. You can't afford DSTV. End of story. In Nigeria, because the dollar was subsidized, so many things that we could not afford, we were spending on those things, like e.g. DSTV. So we can't afford it. Our income is 30,000 a month. We can't afford that import. When you take away the subsidy, then the real price shows itself. It's like people saying the dollar is falling to 1400. That's the real price without the subsidy. So I'm not debating if the dollar is coming in or is going out. I am saying if the dollar finds its real level and you can't afford it, then you don't buy that product. And the product itself is removed from the market by the consumers. If we can't afford it, we can't afford it. If we can't afford foreign rice, there will be no foreign rice in the Nigerian market anymore. It's because we can afford it because it's subsidized by the dollar. That's why you see foreign rice in the Nigerian market.
I get you. I think
Let's move on. So I just talk on add other people if you don't mind, Mohammed. Let's just
1 minute. Sorry. Hello.
yeah.
Okay. I just if it is that the issue, I think the best thing CBN would have done should not be selling dollar or determining the price of dollar in this country. If they have their own dollar, push it, all of them, to the black market or to the parallel market.
They don't have dollar now. They don't have dollar. They don't have dollar.
Let the parallel market determine the price.
But
Not that they are waiting
Olumide,
sell on this, on this, on that. I think it would have been easier for them to do that. And I think if they do that, there would be a very national security on that because they cannot monitor what
we
is coming
can't,
in.
Mohammed.
What is going on.
I hear you. So let's just be clear. Let's just say it again. You know, it's cool. Economics is a very, very cool subject. Nigerians cannot afford imported goods. End of story. It's cheaper, but we can't afford it. If you earn 30,000 naira a month, you can't afford imported goods. What we should have done is to have local substitution of import. So instead of foreign Uncle Ben's rice, there's Ebonyi rice, there's Kebi rice. The problem is that Kebi and Ebonyi rice are expensive because we don't have power in Nigeria. So we have to fix local production in Nigeria to bring the cost down. Then there will be no foreign goods in the market because we can't afford it. What's happening right now, we're deceiving ourselves. We are subsidizing the dollar and then importing foreign goods and pretending that we're not using the same dollar from crude oil that we're using to import. The largest source of dollar in Nigeria is the NNPC, the largest single source, NNPC, dollar sales. And today, like Lumina has told us, today, the NNPC, Mr. Mefele said that the CBN was not getting any remittances from the NNPC. So the CBN has no dollar in quote. They have no sufficient dollars to fund imports. So where's the dollar going to come from? Remittances. And we've heard remittances are going to, not to the CBN, but to the P2P market. But the issue is that this import thing we're doing, we can't afford it. And the market has got to go up to kill demand. We have to do demand destruction on imports so the local SMEs can then have a chance. That's the only way. It's just reality, sir. Mr. Bayo, I've got you, Mr. Bayo Richie. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My contribution is basically just on the fact that the banks need to do a lot to make sure that the FX that comes into Nigeria actually goes through them. Because the difficulty in opening a domiciliary account in Nigeria is one of the issues that will continue to be a major barrier
I agree.
for Nigerians. So because, for example, now, I've been in the process, I will share two personal experiences. I've been in the process of opening a domiciliary account. 2 weeks and counting, that account has not been opened. I was verified on Binance in less than 24 hours, and my FX can come in through them.
That's what Olumide is saying. That's Olumide's point that it's a bit too cumbersome. And I think that the second part of this, I totally agree with you, sir. Totally agree with you, Bayo. And that's the second point, that the CBN has to allow the banks lot of leeway. You can't compete if you are opening from passport picture. That's just, I think you're right, yeah.
They told me to look for two references. I had only one.
Yeah.
And I was asking all my friends that do you
Two
have someone
references.
who has a corporate account? Do you have someone who has a current account that can sign for me? I asked a lot of people. I did not get the second person until after a week plus. Till now, that account has not still been opened. And again, another personal experience I want to share is I have a family member who
the family member who worked in the US, and he has reached the retirement age. So he said he wants to come and settle in Nigeria. Then he transferred all his USD savings to Nigeria by one of our Nigerian banks. They said the funds was too much. Now he's facing them with lawsuits.
Wow.
So what incentive do I have to send money back home when my account can be frozen, or the fact that I can't even open one?
Yeah, these are all the admin issues that we're talking about. It's got to be easier. All this secular today. I talked about Olam. They are taking down Olam for bringing money in and out of Nigeria. The other BDC was also being taken down for bringing in dollars and selling. There are a lot of regulations. Allow the market to breed. Allow the FX market to breed. Allow people to do what they want to do. If it's not illegal, it's not terrorism. Allow people to do what you want dollars to come in. So all these two references. If Binance can do it, why can't the banks in Nigeria? I think that's my take. Olumide, did you have a point? Oh my God, someone's buy. I'm going to put your.
No, I think I agree with what you said in all totality. But just to add up, the truth is that our banks also are regulated and the institution is aware of illicit funds. So we can't get that kind of laxity based on the fact that we want FX to come in. Yes, I get that. But one of the key issues is that the CBN should encourage official remittance. How can they encourage official remittance? Rather than doing this spending trial abroad, they need to really do programs that will encourage Nigerians to invest back home. That's one of the things you could do. They have to look at strategies around that and not the investment government. That's one strategy. And another strategy, like you said, is that a lot of people are concerned about what's going to happen with domiciliary accounts, the funds that are, because at some point now it looks like the Apex Bank might take unorthodox decision, though it looks unlikely because where will they get the FX? And we have over $20 billion sitting bank balance sheet. So the question is, those that have Standard Chartered accounts, Citibank account, they can move FX. They know how to do these things. That's why I'm not really particular about the elite. They know how to get the FX they want. But the concern is for the Nigerian economy to bring in mass FX, we need to look at the larger picture. So it's not just about the elite alone, but we're counting the whole totality. And that's where the real issue is. So it's going to be very difficult, but I think it's something achievable.
Gotcha. I mean, again, going back to the easiest thing is just to go market the guys that have dumb account. They earn nothing in their dumb account. In Nigeria, you have money sitting in a dumb account in Nigeria. The guy earns nothing. So, okay, we're going to pay you 4% if you put money in a Nigerian bank in dumb account. 4% dollar terms if you put money in dumb account. That's one way to do it, right? So you have the dollar there already. We'll give you 4% for 1 year or something like that. APY. It's not bad. Yeah, but you have to buy. But don't you have to buy a fund to get that, Lumde? Don't you have to buy a fund to get that? Don't you have to buy a fund to get that?
Yeah, you have to be in the fund, yes, and not the black markets, not be through the black markets.
So all these unnecessary laws, I mean, just allow people to bring it in. Adakole, your mic is on. I'm going to mute you and kick you off. Adakole, please mute your mic. Thank you so much. Omi, I've got Omi. Omi, go ahead, please. Oyensi Canada. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Carlo, for your submission. I actually came up because of something you said when you talked about the CBN or the Nigerian government having like accounts in certain countries. To be very honest, although I'm not an economist in any capacity, I'm just basically like a realist. I have actually thought about something very similar recently. I had a logic, but obviously it's maybe a flawed one because my financial capabilities are just quite limited due to my background in economics. But I was thinking, what if because I think one of the most important points is getting to know the true exchange rate. What is the true exchange rate between the naira and the dollar? Right now, I mean, we are even in the parallel market. You have the naira just keep like crashing. Basically, that actually implies that the naira has not been stabilized.
So what it is, what does stability mean? To find it out by having these accounts in countries where Nigeria make the most import, countries like USA, India, I think Belgium, basically one country in each continent. And you have your citizens change money from whatever currencies they're using into the naira at whatever the parallel market rate is. Now you're able to encourage that more diaspora remittance because trust me, many people in the US, Canada, UK would not even we actually do not actually change using the exchange rate, the official exchange rate. We want to change as what's convenient for us. Now, if you have this account set up there, then you have some forex that is domiciled in this foreign country because most of these foreign countries, when they are going into partnership with countries, they don't want those forex to leave their country, right? They will actually be very much willing to have this forex domiciled there. Now, this forex can change hands in terms of the importers that are in Nigeria. If the importers in Nigeria want to get forex for purchases that are outside Nigeria, I believe these accounts can be used to probably, we have like digital frameworks where you can have the digitization of these transfers. They can make direct payments to wherever they are purchasing their goods from, just in this
Yeah,
platform.
I mean, I hear you. So what I'm hearing you saying is that it sounds like what we're saying. Like, listen, why don't we have an outlet in America where a diaspora guy can walk into a bank? Maybe you walk into Bank of America and you have an account called Nigerian Diaspora account, and you give them your social and you deposit $20 into that bank account. And from there, you can tell the Nigerian or whatever app it is that I want this person, Kalu, to go to Ikeja and pick up the exact parallel market naira price if I deposit in Bank of America at no cost, at no transfer, nothing. That's the same thing we're saying. Yeah, and I'm saying it's a good idea.
You can actually digitize. You can have applications.
You don't have to go. I mean, this is the point. That's why I'm trying to bring to Lumide to say if we did that, for instance, the dollar is not moving, is right there in America or in India or China or whatever. But I get naira. And CBN has naira. They don't have dollars. So now CBN has dollar in Bank of America and you can use to fund imports, right? That's where I'm going to with this because the remittances are 25 billion and they will move irrespective of CBN. So let CBN try to plug itself in and say, okay, we're going to give you guys a very, very good deal in that you will not pay a transfer fee if you use this app. That's where I'm going to with this. That's going to be the advantage. You say, if you do it with us, you don't pay a fee. Lumide, what's your take?
Yeah, so it's a good suggestion, but the issue here is that if you run transactions on competitive platforms, you pay little to no transaction. And also, the question is the rate. And I think another important thing is that we are often misled that a lot of Americans come from United States and Canada, which is not true. In fact, about half of our remittance capital comes from United Kingdom, and that's why our banks use that data to reposition themselves. So the question is, why is remittance, despite the fact that we have a lot of Nigerians in America and Canada, well, it's another question for us to ask. But the key value here is that most people send money, just like you said, for welfare, not for investment, not for productivity, for welfare, for family issues, for things like that. Rather, so I think we need to start looking at that, and that's why platforms are positioning themselves around that narrative. If Nigeria was productive or human capital was at really high levels, for example, with the high amount of diaspora in hosting we should have food chains that service Nigerians in diaspora, like what Indians and other Asians are doing. Then we can really talk about pushing. So the Apex Bank is in a very tight corner. First of all, we only have one major place to get our Apex from, and that is the United Kingdom. Second is that our diaspora are just growing. Right now, I data from different, it puts that the diaspora population is just about 2 million. And if you understand that many of them are in school, so their residual income is not as high as what many say, despite the 20 something billion we bring per $1 billion we bring per annum. A lot of work needs to be done. So the nearest solution right now is we need huge liquidity CBN or Minister of Finance can get at. Once we can get liquidity, pay our FX backlogs, we can make the power market unattractive. Because when the power market is attractive, it's not just price accessibility. Because you can get dollars at any if you want to buy dollars now, if you want to buy $500,000, I can get it for you. It's just the price. That's the issue. So the market is always accessible. So that's where the complexity is.
That's the thing. Again, remember, guys, see the parallel market, this black market we'll talk about. Where does the money come from? Let's step back. Nigeria has two main sources of crude oil, two main sources of FX. One is crude oil, two is remittances. That's it. Crude oil, remittances. The money comes to CBN and black market. So the crude oil one is CBN money. It goes to CBN, it stays there. That's what CBN is doing, CBN rates, all that kind of stuff. The remittances one is not captured, it's everywhere. It's FP2P, CBN, it's written all around the place, right? The rice that we're importing is coming from the parallel markets, the remittances, because that's one that's not regulated. So if I want to import rice, somehow, is that remittances from welfare that I get from Mama Emeka, that Emeka sent to her, that I get put together and import my rice. That's what's going on. So to say you are banning the items is really not working, because you are still taking the dollars that come to Nigeria to still import the rice. To ban rice has got to be, should we say, import substitution, where the market kills imports on its own, because Uncle Ben's is too expensive. I don't see anyone eating Uncle Ben's. I don't see anyone. I see them eating Indian rice, Thai rice. Why don't they eat Uncle Ben's? Because it's expensive, it's dollar. But Thai and the rest are a bit cheaper. So we really have to focus more on, again, local production, getting the cost of local production to fall, so that local produce are cheaper than import. You can't go to India, get a ship, buy rice, put it on the ship, pay duty, pay transport from India, insurance, bring it all the way to Lagos, clear it in Lagos port, and it's cheaper than rice from Kebbi. Doesn't make any sense. Kebbi is coming from Kebbi to Lagos. I'm coming from India to Lagos. My Indian rice is cheaper than Kebbi rice. How can that be possible? Because India has power supply. India has fertilizer. So they can make per yield cheaper rice. So if you don't focus on this cost of local production, even if this inflow comes to them, it's going to go towards exports. If we get that inflow, it's going to go towards imports. We're just going to go back and buy Uncle Ben's. If tomorrow now, that's why people vex and send in $100 billion, we'll start buying Uncle Ben's rice, because Uncle Ben's rice will be cheaper than rice from Kebbi. So it won't solve the problem long term. Malam, I've got Malam Batside. You guys should have for Larbi. Sorry, sir. You guys should have nice Twitter names. Oh, sorry, sir. I apologize. Please go ahead, sir.
All right. Thank you very much. So for the three items, in my own opinion, I don't think it's going to go very far. If anything, it's just going to be this information effect. It's going to have that information effect on the market. People are going to just be a little bit cautious. What's going to happen? Now these people can go. Will they stop buying from us? And they're going to wait maybe about 2-3 weeks and see what happens. And then we'll go back to where we're coming from. Because the reason is not far-fetched. There's a spread that is very juicy between rate 1 and rate 2. And we all know this thing. So a lot of people, if you're a politician, you're connected, you get low and you sell high without having to worry about so many things. You don't have to put in any machinery or anything. It's just a couple of phone calls, and you've made a very, very good margin. So nobody likes stress. So that's number one. Number two, people have found alternatives since 8 years ago. When I think was it 8 years ago? Yes, people have found various alternatives, and there's this status quo effect. Now, once people get used to something, to change, that inertia is already there. So I don't think it's going to, push the needle very far. That's number one. Number two is that I'm just always curious the problem of FX. And NNPC, that is a major problem, is not really brought to the center as all of us should be worried about. Because the two biggest items when it comes to demand and supply, this is the entity that is responsible. Our supply today is seriously challenged, not because we don't have capacity, but because of corruption and inefficiency. Today we get about, 500,000 barrels of equity crude. I mean, for those who understand the industry, there are different arrangements. But so in terms of equity crude that comes to NNPC, 500,000 barrels. That's apart from the royalty oil, the tax oil, and the PPT that all the all the operators pay. So that gives you at $80 now. That gives around 1.2 billion every month. Is that what we're supposed to be earning? My answer is no. We can do so much more than this. But because of crude theft, right? A lot of people don't know that crude theft actually has two effects. One is the oil that is being stolen. And the second effect, which is probably even greater, is the fact that operators shut in. When your line is compromised, you shut in until you troubleshoot and you're able to get to the root of the matter. So the various shutting that we've had in so many places because, line A or B are compromised, it's also there. Which, if this problem is really, really genuinely solved today, we will probably be, maybe equity coming to NNPC will probably be around 8,000 barrels. That's aside. I'm just really, I just really desire that everyone understands that yes, we can talk about all the administrative issues, we can innovate as much as we like, but if NNPC does not have enough supply, it's very simple. As long as the demand far outweighs supply, then there's no matter what you do, it's always the same thing we're talking about. It will always be a problem. So, and we have a low-hanging fruit. The NNPC is a low-hanging fruit. That's supply.
Let's round up.
So when you look at demand, we've been talking about the refinery. A lot of people have opinions about whether when we import is different. It's not going to be different from when we refine locally. I beg to differ. I think there's night and day difference between importing petroleum products and refining locally. People will discover that local refining is actually, it's going to solve about 70% of our FX problem. I mean, there's not enough time.
No, hold on. But the NNPC guy said it's only 30 naira. The NNPC MD said it's 30 naira. There's actually a metric out. It said if you import the refining cost is 30 naira of the price of crude. The main cost is the crude.
Kalu, that's not. See, I mean, at times when I hear some people speak in NNPC, I just worry about what the problem. They think they are the only ones that have worked in these places.
This is the NNPC MD.
In this country, there's something. Anyway, there's no time. I could have talked more. But we used to have a domestic supply obligation, which is the crude that we're supposed to use to feed our local refineries. The idea of domestic supply is to ensure that.
No, I want us to just to focus. The point is that refining, because I've seen it also the metric in the Guardian newspaper. I've seen it everywhere. Lots of people have actually done this metric. If you take the price of local PMS, what makes it that price? There's the exchange rate, there's the cost of crude oil, there's the cost of refining, there's the cost of finance. The cost of crude is almost 51%. That's the cost of crude. So that's out of the way, right? The cost of financing demurrage is also there. But what this NPC guy is saying is that wherever you refine it, you are saving. But that saving is 30 naira. That's from Dangote. So Dangote is not going to buy, whether he buys in naira or dollar, is still at the international price, unless you subsidize the cost Dangote is going to buy. That's what he's saying.
And that's the idea, Carlo. I'm not even talking about this 30 naira. You see, that's a very, their own analysis. I don't know what they're looking at, but their own analysis is kind of just on the surface.
Okay.
It's much deeper than that. We cannot have a domestic supply and sell at international price.
Why not? Why not? It's a subsidy.
I've always said
it's a subsidy.
I've always said that the solution, part of our solution must be, first of all, we need to boost our local production so that we have at least 200,000 barrels to play with. Nigeria has oil, proven oil reserve that we can play with, and this can solve our problem. So the 30 naira is not the one. I'm looking at $70 per barrel, $75 per barrel, and that's going to be it for 5 years.
Okay.
Until I can put enough public good in place.
I hear you, sir.
Release the market.
Let's assume let's assume Nigeria is doing 2.5 million barrels as 2.5 million. Let's assume the price is at 80. That is still insufficient for an economy of $500 billion. Still insufficient. The point is that Nigerian economy has moved on from crude oil. Crude oil today is less than 15% of our GDP. The only difference crude oil makes today is the export earnings. And it's only making a headway because the non-oil export earnings are so weak. If we focused on just maybe cassava or cocoa, or even urea. Dangote just came yesterday. He's already the highest export in Nigeria. If we focused on 3 Dangotes doing urea, we start to catch up with crude oil. That's the point I'm making. If we depend on crude oil, we're in serious trouble. Once these green people in America starts, there will be no more crude oil.
A short-term solution here.
I hear you.
Before we go to all those other things,
I hear you. Good point.
Let's save ourselves first.
Okay.
Then we can talk about all the other things.
The crude oil is a security issue. That's what so you are completely correct. If we can't defend static pipelines, this is the word though, static pipelines. We know where the pipelines run. We know where they run to. And the entire armed force of Nigeria cannot defend those miles of pipelines. That tells you we're not serious. If the president of Nigeria cannot guarantee a pipeline running from Delta to Forcados cannot be breached, that's the whole might of Nigeria can defend static pipelines, then we should shut the country down and maybe sell it to China and move on. That's the point I'm making. You started off with saying it's corruption. You are correct. Oil is being stolen. Hence, we have 700,000 barrels shut in. And if we start to export crude oil, we get enough dollars to pay off this 6.8. It doesn't have to be today, but the market sees that we're paying off 6.8. Then the pressure on the naira will reduce. This 14 naira is because there is no oil being sold, and the subsidy on oil has come back. Madam, thanks a whole lot. I appreciate you calling. Let's get Sanusi, please. Samuel 404. Samuel, please go ahead. Samuel. Samuel isn't ready. Let's get Leslie. Leslie, you've got the floor. Leslie.
Yes, good evening, everybody.
Samuel, please go ahead, real quick.
Okay, I want to really appreciate Carlo for some issue that he raised up at the early stage when he talked about the local production, because that is where our problem lies on. The local production is more expensive, and lifting ban in this 43 item, for me, I think it's just an emergency to reduce the pressure in the market. Maybe from all these African countries, because most of the things there are things you can get from the African market to reduce the pressure in the market. So not that this 43 item is going to solve our economic problem. But one other thing is that the CBN need to get some persons into the table. The policies that the CBNs are making, the major players of FS are not being involved. The major marketers are not being involved when these policies are being made. So it affects this seriously. And another angle I want to rush in is that, like the NFI compliance, because so many suggestions I've heard from here now, trying to create a person-to-person transaction or having an outlet in these countries where we have Nigeria's diaspora remittance. Another issue that we are facing in Nigeria that is affecting production is security. And from the NFIU angle, NFIU compliance is that so much of these transactions we open way for what? Financing terrorism. That's another problem we have in Nigeria. Because the CBN is opening the market, even when they floated the system.
I get what
It
you
has been found out from the NFIU that most of our terrorism is being financed by dollar. Majority of the terrorism in Nigeria and Africa is being financed with dollar. And the NFIU is fighting, combating, financing terrorism. But the CBN is not working with the NFIU. They are bringing policies that is allowing direct financing of terrorism into this country.
Do you have
Which also
do you
affects
have
production.
do you have like an example you could share, something to back up what you're saying?
Yes. I'm an NFIU compliance officer. And there was a seminar we had, a workshop we had in Giaba. And there is no synergy between the NFIU that is fighting, financing, combating, and the policies that CBN is been making.
Could you be more?
Because if CBN opened the market for persons to persons, which is what they are even indirectly doing now, because that is what we are indirectly experiencing now. There is so much risk in financing terrorism, and that is another angle that is increasing. Just on his own angle is increasing.
Yeah, so I completely agree, but is that collateral damage? Is that going to be like collateral damage to the? I mean, we increase access, but then some bad actors slip in. Don't we have like KYC to? Isn't that what KYC is there for? To ask you, do you know your customer and all those questions? I mean, even in the US, they still have funds slipping in from bad actors. I mean, I get what you're saying, but I mean, should
Yeah, but in Nigeria, it is very high because of our level of security.
Gotcha.
Good. Not like in the US or in the UK. And that is what the CBN they are failed to consider, because most of their policies being uprooted from this country, this advanced country.
No, I hear you. Completely agree. So what would be your take? Would you prefer we keep the holds on just to have a safer Nigeria? Is that what you say, that we keep the guardrails on just to avoid the inflow from bad? Is that what you recommend?
Yes. Whatever means that we are adopting must be through the CBN. We shouldn't open all the windows. Even though the CBN is opening the windows indirectly. But we shouldn't open all the windows, because there is another problem arising from financing terrorism, which has reduced our agricultural products by up to 50%. From the recent record now. So which is directly affecting local production. And CBN is now saying, okay, let us open importation of foodstuff. But they are not the means. People are not discussing how to tackle this other aspect that is affecting us.
No, I think I'm not sure. Look, I get your point. I think the whole idea of the 44 items is not to encourage the imports per se, but that the imposition of the 44 items was an impediment. So they are taking away the impediment. They are saying, before CBN brought out this list, who policed imports? Customs. Customs police import. So it is the customs that will say you can bring these goods into Nigeria or not. The CBN should never have gotten involved in putting out a list of items that are banned or not banned. That's not their job. So the point I make is the customs and the executive will say, we don't want to have imported rice. Then the executive will say, we're going to go and invest in local rice paddy, local rice milling to get the cost of rice to fall. Then that becomes a policy that the customs will implement. What we've done in Nigeria is to put the cart before the horse. Then we closed the border to rice. We didn't have enough local output of rice, right? Then CBN banned import of rice. We still don't have local output of rice. So it's a bit haphazard. But the CBN is saying we're going to do pure central banking. We're going to do elegant banking. We're not going to get involved in lists and subsidies. That's what I see them saying. They're not pushing imports or pushing export. They are saying we will go back to our role as the monetary arbiter of Nigerian economy. Just we're going to do the price control and we're going to do exchange rates. If you want to bring in your foreign rice and the market to buy it, so be it. It's not the CBN's job to man ports or to determine what you should import. That's not their calling.
Okay.
That's how I just see it, my take. Yeah, but good point on the NFI. I think it's a good point that we should not really open the windows too much. We should have that condition.
Yeah,
Completely agree with
we
you.
have a problem already with
All right.
terrorism.
Olumide, you hop right in, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to raise some concerns about the report from the NFI side, because I think we should not amplify that too much, because if you look at number of bank accounts in Nigeria that really have above 1 million, for example, it's less than 1%. So it's very easy for them to track. The question is that the issue with that system is that those that have the money or those that do those things are powerful circles. So the transparency is not there. We saw the power of BVN, NIN, the days of Disani, all those things. We saw how complicated things were, where they still move funds through. So I think the issue right there is not. I think relaxing such levels will not for security reasons. Though yes, it makes a lot of sense that a country should watch this transaction. I think the EFCC job should be much more the political elite. We've always mentioned the fact that having an offshore account these are things that it's open news around the world. You cannot have leaked financial systems and expect prosperity in the economy. China is a $1 trillion economy. It still bans their citizens from moving beyond $50,000. At a go, this is a country that has billionaires and more than 58 billionaires. So the question is, why don't we have such? But because you see, things that favor the elite usually are not really passed. Those are kind of measures the NFI should look at. Right? Putting things that those that really have substantial amounts of cash. The average middle class, how can you put terrorism with you can't even buy a biology. So I think we need to look much at the larger picture that relaxing the rules will ensure much more liquidity, bring in much flow, and regulators can really work with the NIM, BVN to capture any security threat. After all, these things are done on transactions.
Yeah, good point. And again, it goes back to we've always had this issue of holding forests. I remember when Fela was jailed for having forest in his possession. So there's a line between regulation and liberalism where we want to ensure ease of business. We want business to get access to forest and all that. And I think put your rules out there. It doesn't have to be as maybe easy as Binance, because Binance are not regulated by the central bank. They don't answer to the central bank. But let the rules be less onerous. Why do you need two referees? Maybe one. Maybe if you have a BVN, then why do you need all those other stuff? I mean, make it easier. You are the one looking for dollars. So if I want something, I would make my house, like easy to come to. So you want people to bring dollars to you. They're already going somewhere. So you already have competition. So you're trying to beat the competition. That's how I will take it. So the CBN working with the banks to say how is the best way we can get the flow to come to us away from the P2P boys. If otherwise, why leave? If you ain't broke, why fix it? I'm already there. Why should I come to you? Right? Akin, you've got the floor, Akin. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm very skeptical about the argument that using remittances, bonds, and all these things should work. I think it's just more financial engineering after financial engineering. And if there's one thing we know about relying on FPI is the problem of hot money, as Joseph Stiglitz would say. One thing about hot money is they play hot places. So when things get hot, when political situations get difficult, when the financial situation in other countries get better, a lot of the hot money you're attracting will also leave in a rush. So it's not even it's not even an idea I believe any Nigerian should be considering, even for the short term. Because a great example is what's going on in Lebanon. They had a situation where they were continually using financial engineering, all sorts of schemes, trying to turn themselves into the Switzerland of the Middle East, giving all sorts of interest rates on deposits on dollar accounts and everything. And then you had the pandemic, you had the sanctions that were brought in by the Trump administration, and basically hot money started moving out, and it effectively collapsed or crashed the Lebanese pound and also crashed the financial system. The problem was that the Lebanese did not deal with the fundamental problem that was affecting the exchange rate and the economy. And these different bonds that you people are suggesting are not dealing with the fundamental problem of the country. The fundamental reason why the naira is dropping isn't because we have 43 band lists, or we don't have 43 band lists, or because it is hard to open a domiciliary account, or it is easy to open a domiciliary account. It is because we do not have a bid on the naira. There is nobody buying the naira from abroad. And why is that? Our oil is not being sold in the world market. We're not selling value-added goods to the market. Even the services sector that we always talk about, that we should make it easy for Bernabo and the rest to bring dollars in. Those services sectors will not be able to even cater to a week or 2 weeks worth of imports of Nigeria. So when people talk about how we have Afrobeat, how much is Afrobeat really going to bring into the economy? The big fish of the oil and gas, of agricultural products that we should really be looking at. That's why for me, I suggest that the way forward is that the federal government should actually encourage exportation actively encourage the exportation of goods and services in the economy through subsidies. We need to subsidize people to export. The way we are subsidizing importation of oil before, we should subsidize the exportation of these things to the world market so that we're able to get dollars now. Then on the issue of the oil, we need oil to flow. So this whole idea, and I know you will disagree with me, this idea of bombing tankers on the high sea is not going to work. The truth is, who are you going to run these things through? They're going to say on the news they bombed it, and you'll be hearing from contacts in India that the same ship has docked in India. So it's not going to work. The best way to do it is what the Jonathan administration did. We have to appease the conquerors. You can quibble with what I'm saying. You may say, okay, it is festering and we're encouraging bad behavior and everything, but we do not have the capacity to deal with these oil bunkers. We have to find a way in which we get oil moving. If that means that we're going to get bunkers on our side as a government, we need to do it. Because at this point, the idea of governing ships and everything is a ludicrous idea. It will not work. It's going to cause much more environmental damage in the Niger Delta, and so that it's implemented. And if it's not implemented as usually happens, you just know that you'll be hearing stories of Nigerian ships docking in random places in the world, then turning off GPS trackers to avoid tracking by the Nigerian government and whatnot. So for me, I will continue to say financial engineering is not going to solve it. It will even probably lead to a greater problem down the line. Once hot money starts to move out of the country, when financial problems start happening in places like the UK and people cannot send billions into the country, what then happens? You could have a situation where you have like a 1997 Asian financial crisis thing where the Turkish, the Thai banks and the Indonesian rupee literally collapsed in one day because they were literally trying to use financial engineering to run their system. So please, we should stop this idea of trying to financially engineer our way out of this situation. It's not going to work. We need to deal with the fundamentals of why our export economy is weak.
Okay, I hear you. And I mean, what's hit me is that the Nigerian exports are actually more than our imports right now. So when you say we don't export, there's no demand for the naira. Where'd you get that from? Our export number is we export more than
So
we
what I'm
import
saying,
Nigeria.
so what I'm saying is that we don't have enough bid, we don't have enough demand for our naira. And if you look at our trade figures, yes, we run a trade surplus, we run a capital a current account surplus, but that's largely because we have tried to squeeze the import side of the ledger, which is effectively making us look like, okay, yes, we have a trade surplus and we have a current account surplus. The real issue is that Nigeria is not, so Nigeria is not exporting enough to the rest of the world, and that's why I still say we should subsidize people to save goods and services out of the country. I know, yes, it may cause some form of dislocation in the local economy in the sense of there may be some.
But there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Akin, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm for exports and incentivizing exports. Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing you've said that I'm disagreeing with. Um, when we want to, if we want to really grow the economy, we have to export because that's how we get dollars into Nigeria. When we say Burna Boy, the export number, import in Nigeria about 1.5 to 2 billion a month. That's the import figure, 1.5 to 2 billion a month. That's what we used to pay our import. We are saying that oil alone can't meet that. If you branch out into entertainment and you can go and have an arrangement with, say, Spotify, all this Nigerian music has been downloaded. You can have an arrangement with Spotify to say if it came from Nigeria, we want to get a royalty from it. I mean, I'm not saying today, but you have to have a plan to start to capture services. Arts, entertainment from Nigeria is huge. Nollywood
Okay,
is
let me
huge.
give you a very good
There is
example.
nothing wrong. Akin, there's Akin, let me land. Let me land, Akin. Akin, I let you speak.
Spotify released figures a few months ago that Nigerian artists only got about $12 million from Spotify. How many days worth of imports is that going to be now?
But that's
It's all
if
well
you.
and good to say all these things. They sound good on paper, but the figures, the raw figures don't match these ideas. That is what I'm trying to tell you.
Yes, but
So I
Akin.
think you're going to bring the whole point of
But
Spotify.
Akin, hold on. Akin, hold.
$12.
Are you done, Aki? I want you to finish so I can speak. I don't want you to interrupt. I want you to finish. Okay. What I'm saying is this. I'm not talking about the revenue share you get today from Spotify. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about private equity, investing in the artists to say we own a certain share of these artists. If we have a studio, we have a Nollywood studio where you can film, create content. How much do you sell the content to Spotify? Not the royalties, but the ownership of the content itself. So that every download, you are getting a share of royalties. If I go to a studio and I get funds to do my film, then this PE owns a piece of my film. If that film is sold abroad, I get a constant stream from Netflix, from all these content providers. A share comes to me. It adds up. Even the 12 million you're talking about, it adds up. It's not going to replace crude oil, but the largest employer of labor in Nigeria outside the government is Nollywood. So you should look at that and say, how can we make more money from this? Go anywhere in the world, Nigerian movies, Nigerian content. I hear Rema in the US. How are we making any money from Rema in the US? I hear on my radio. No. And that's what I'm talking about. We've got to get innovative to say, how can we monetize this talent that is coming from Nigeria? You just can't shoot it down and say it's not going to work. You just said 12 million. Is that not money? Even if we get 1 million, that's from zero. So start from there and build it up. How much does India get from Bollywood? So let's copy them. Let's start from there. That's the point I'm making. Nollywood can't replace NNPC, but it's a start. All right, did you have any to say again, Aki?
Yeah. So another one solution is yes, you subsidize exports, but then you could even do it in a graduated way. So in the sense that the more value added stuff you're exporting out of the country, the more the subsidies that you get. You could do the subsidies in a direct form, so maybe direct payments to the company, or you could do it through the tax code, or you can even do it through all sorts of through a combination of both. So you would ensure and encourage companies to try to upskill. And a way you could even do it to even encourage expansion too is through a fund. But I understand that going through a manufacturing fund also introduces its own problems because of the poor administrative capacity that Nigeria has. So you could get to bring a new form of graft and all of that. But at this point, I think we literally just need to go for the things that are out of the box and
This is,
generally
but
dealing with
Akin, we say out of the box and you shoot it down, but we go out of the box and you shoot it down. And let me address finally the one about bombing. If you guys don't know what Akin is talking about, the Nigerian Air Force is bombing bunkers, the guys that go steal the crude oil in the creek. So when they bomb those things, they burn, they cause environmental damage. It's not the best. But why is the Air Force bombing them, and why do I support it 100%? Because there are many instances in Nigeria where the Nigerian government has arrested a ship with stolen crude oil, taking that ship not to the police, to the Nigerian Navy base, parked the ship there with the ship and the cargo in the Nigerian Navy base, and the ship vanished. Note my words, vanished. This from a base, not once, not twice. So there's a big cartel that is that whole security in Niger Delta. There's a big cartel that is not letting the country earn what is due to them. So my take is all the ships are insured. You can't fly a ship without insurance, especially the big ships. If you start to sink those ships where they stay, just sink them, then you send a message to Lloyd to say, listen, we cannot come to Nigeria, steal crude oil, and take it out of the country without consequence. I don't know any other solution. If you say arrest them, we've arrested them. They are already doing the placating now. Are we not paying amnesty? Have we stopped? Is Tom Polo no longer having a contract? Have we cancelled Tom Polo's contract? Or should we give it to more Tom Polos? The largest personal contract today in Nigeria's history is by a guy called Tom Polo in another delta. Till today, have we stopped that? So it's not. I would say give modular refineries and have them do legal modular refineries, but that is just a small fraction. The real theft is happening from those big ocean-going lines that come to Nigeria, get stolen crude, and take it out. You can't try it in Iran or Kuwait or even in Angola. You can't try it in any other nation, even in Libya. It's only in Nigeria. So we got to get desperate. I mean, if I had money in the bank and you walk into the bank and take my cash, I will be annoyed. But somehow we allow the oil crew. So sink it. That's my burn the ship. Burn five, you pass a message, and maybe it stops. But if you do nothing, if you arrest them, they change the name. You actually just they change the name. The exact same ship is sailing, different name, different crew. The same ship that was arrested. So corruption, man, it's a big thing. Olumide, what's up?
I just wanted to add a different angle. You highlighted very important points. But for me, I think the most important issue facing our FX market is accountability and it comes from political reforms.
Yeah.
I don't think no matter how you pump the oil bunkers or you make this that place overheated, you just create a polluted and you end up losing more money. The problem we're having is that the system itself, the political structure of Nigeria is not efficient, not accountable. This year alone, NBS data said only 8 states brought in MTI. Now, if you look at the state, you think those states brought in a lot of money. And if you look at a state like Ekiti, they brought in
$25,000. That can only buy Bitcoin. Now, if you look at the state like Bayelsa, 80% of its residents, MDS data, are poor. So the question is, why is it that we having that kind of bad optics? It's not the system that the state itself is not efficient. We're having a system that allows leaks. So I think we need to look at, and that's why I was very concerned that I was a bit quite bullish that we have a president that has political, he has political experience. He has been a governor of the business capital. He also has strong allies in different geopolitical zones. He should take political reforms because the truth of the matter is that we are not efficient. Take the state of my origin, for example. We have 20 universities in that state. We are close to Lagos State. But if you look at the FDI that comes in, it's embarrassing. So the question is, why is the FDI embarrassing? Is it from a point of efficiency, production, consumption, or the point that the system is not accountable? I think it's more just the fact that the system is not accountable, and that is why the FX market will not do magic. Even if we solve crude oil debt, let's assume we solve crude oil debt. Yes, it will bring the naira back to, but fundamental issues still remain. A state like Lagos should not be sharing its vast resources with Kano.
It shouldn't.
Across that, things like that. So
It
the
should
main
not.
truth for that is that we need to also look at the fact that the FX market has cutting so deep and it's just exposed. It's going to get worse. I don't see the naira, like all you spoke about digital economy, you spoke about. So now, yes, I'm a proponent supporter of the fact that this guy will definitely do wonders. In fact, our fintech, our capital market, trade leverage. But the truth of the matter is that a system that does not follow the others rule of law, that is not efficient or accountable, how do you perform magic in those systems? It doesn't work. We've been in many parts of the world. We've seen the fact that it's not the fact that they have resources, but utility, human capital, and accountable system ensure efficiency. So until you don't have those things, FX market will just be parabolic.
Yeah, and again, only just a quick diversion. When we say FDI came to a state, what really are we saying? That's what the bank is. I think that whole report is a bit funny because if I in Kano get FDI, but the bank I'm getting the FDI is in Lagos, it's recorded as going to FDI in Lagos. So that report, maybe I don't know how they can make it to reflect where, maybe put the company name than putting the state or whatever. It's not really a real picture of the FDI flowing to Nigeria. That's what I think on that report. It just shows the headquarters of whatever institution received that FDI. That's really what we're seeing there. And some other things, there's 25,000 for a state. That's better than zero. But what is it doing? There are a lot of ways we can create cash flow in dollars to come to Nigeria. Tourism is one, right? Tourism, New Yam Festival, bringing people to come and do, they will come, we'll bless them with holy water, they will eat spiritual yam, we'll give them African name, we charge them $5,000. If you do it for 10 people, that is money. Don't we go and watch Disney? We go and watch Harry Potter. Bring them here. Let's bless them with Amadioha. We'll give them African traditional name. We'll bless them. They'll go on the slavery trek. All those things they do it in Ghana, in Senegal, and they make money. Package tour. You fly in. You stay 1 week in Arochuku. We'll give you yam. You wear, cloth. Nollywood will come. We'll have one village. You see African village. You stay there for the night. You drink. You have to get innovative, and that's what you do in South Africa. You go and stay in their Okwamboti village, and you pay dollars to see them drinking beer and dancing. But it's dollars. Same thing with Vegas. You go to Vegas. What's in Vegas? Slots, casinos, but they get a lot of money from visitors. So we have to sort of, do the same thing and get the money in. Build, like Dubai said, you build a port, free trade zone, you put a hotel, you make it safe, people will come, you generate a commerce around it, and then you move on from there. Leslie, what's up, man? Leslie, thanks for waiting. I appreciate you.
Yeah, so you've raised a lot of points, and there are areas to make contributions from. Now, Nigerian problem is really multidimensional, if you ask me. And let me start by saying that I come from a community in River State where the last community in River State, Kula. Kula is sharing boundary with the Atlantic Ocean, and from Kula you see all of the moving vessels coming in and out of Nigeria, 40 nautical miles away from Nigerian waterways. protection of the waterways, I think there is a systematic, collaboration, a collusion between the security agencies and communities. Though, because you can't really exonerate communities, all this is coming out as they go out. However, for those of us who don't stay longer in the village, well, we know that this is happening. Now, while it will lead to environmental pollution and degradation, which we preach or talk against, it's also important that the Nigerian government then finds a way of solving this systemic corruption. Because the security agencies are the main a vessel to a 20 to 40 nautical miles waterways without any security escort. Where there are no security escort, there are views, pointed views where the security can stay and see these vessels moving. It's not, Now, going to the Nigerian economy, we understand that the FX, chunk of the FX we have in Nigeria comes from the petrodollar economy. Because if we don't even refine at all, we won't even have Nigerian economy or the currency, the naira itself is not depreciating color or the name. The money is not exchangeable. The only country with the countries within West Africa where we do transact, where they accept naira for their currencies, just within the West African axis like Benin Republic and all these countries are accept same as. Even in Ghana, where you would want to change dollars, they kind of frown. If you go to those booths change around Ghana border area, they frown in collecting naira. But in francophone countries, they easily accept the naira. So now the question export we are doing with these countries that even accept naira, so that we will have much volume in terms of naira exchange. So, but it's quite low. Now, we've not taken advantage of the ECOWAS market or the francophone countries that is accepting naira as exchange. Talk less of what we can earn from exportable, ventures like, tourism you mentioned, and the Nollywood that is also moving that also generating a lot of, heat overseas. Something complex you will be hearing.
Leslie, your audio is cutting in and out. I'm not sure if it's just me, but your audio is cutting in and out. So maybe it'll make you round up. Your audio is really cutting in and out. Yeah.
Okay, let me round up quickly. So now, the bulk of the problem, people don't have confidence in the currencies, in Nigerian money. For example, you want to throw your own money into your own dollar in the bank, in Nigeria, in the local bank. You find it very difficult to access. I've had more than 3 or 4 scenarios where I walked into the bank to wait for 1 hour, 2 hours for no dollar coming in. The next time I come to that same bank, I was given a lower denomination, which is $1, and I was looking for $5,000. I was just, it was shocking, to just say the list that you wanted dollar in big volume. I was given $1 in that volume, which amounts to look more useless. So these are the kind of scenarios that will create lack of confidence in the system, thus making it impossible for those who didn't have dollar to bring it to the banking sector. So you find out people having dollars, they keep it within their private homes instead of bringing it to the bank where it can be recorded and be used for more forex transactions. So this regulatory organizations, the regulatory institutions like the central bank.
All right, Leslie.
Also the banks,
yeah, Leslie.
on these areas.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah. Your audio just cutting in and out. Yeah, I'm so sorry about that. BBM, I've got you, BBM. Go ahead. BBM, you got the floor.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you once again. And just to add my own 2 cents to this topic that we're talking about as regard FX issue.
First off, I want to talk about the alternatives that we could like the solutions to this problem. And to start with, to me, in my own opinion, I don't think the ban that has been lifted on the 43 items, I really don't think it will have any economic impact on it, because the question we should ask ourselves is that does the CBN, do they even have the FX to even fund those 43 items? We should all ask GSK and the likes having difficulties to accessing the FX market and all. So even like commodities that have more priority, including drugs and all, they could not access the FX due to like scarcity and all. So not just like some other product that made it up to the 43 and all. And also, I would like I agree with you, Kalu, on a point that you do make often that one that the rates of the naira to dollar of about 1,000 is subsidized rate, and in addition, we shouldn't blame maybe someone in the UK or in the US trying to send money to the Nigeria and making use of the unofficial rates. We shouldn't blame them, of course. Like, who will see 1,000 rates and 700 rates and go for 700? Like, it's not logical. And to me, I feel it's a loophole which is being caused by the CBN by itself, which is arbitrary. Like, it's what someone rational will do. So I feel that it is the responsibility of the CBN to fix this gap. When they fix it, then people will have like then people can decide. But everybody knows that there is an unofficial route, and everybody have access to it. So definitely, people want to patronize it, and also as regards some of the ways or some of the solutions to this FX issue in Nigeria is that there should be like there's some importation that really needs to be discouraged. Just yesterday or thereabout, that the news reported that about 360 Lexus or 360 SUVs will be imported for the senators or the reps and everything and all at the rate of 160 million naira per one. Like, is that a priority? I multiplied it to about 54 billion naira or thereabout, like of all of the things that are happening. And yet, mind you, they will take dollar to this market, not naira. And yet we are complaining that there's no dollar, there's no dollar, there's no dollar. And yet this is what we are using the
Your audio is bad. Olumide, can you hear him?
Yeah, I was speaking, but I got his message. He was talking about ways the fiscal spending.
Yeah, that's an issue. I mean,
What it is.
so even the small dollar that we're getting, the House of Assembly is and the Senate are using it to import expensive SUVs. So even the small one that we think we haven't getting is being wasted. Olani, you've got the floor. Olani, I mean, Olumide, just before Lani speaks, just to go back to this initial point that we're making about this 47 items that CBN is taking off, what do you think will be the impact? Let me ask you a direct question. Will this affect the exchange rate positively or negatively, or it has no effect in your view? If I take away this item, do I see Naira getting value, or is it just going to be an administrative fix? It wouldn't affect the exchange rate. What do you think?
I think, in the opinion, the CBN is just going to come at it and ensure flexibility, transparency, openness in the market, which has its own advantages. It's trying to show that this more consider price mechanism rather than trade issues. Apparently indicated that it should be the work of the trade representatives or customs. So I think that has some positivity. But the issue right now, what many experts are saying, is that the reasons why we had that 43 item ban has not been solved. And it's just going to amplify the liquidity strength of the market.
So in effect, it's more like they've done the right thing to allow the currency perhaps have the support to appreciate. It is itself does not move the needle on the appreciation or otherwise of the currency, more or less. That's what I'm hearing you say. Just as a standalone policy does not really affect. Okay, I hear you. Let's get Olani. Olani, go ahead, sir.
Greetings to everyone.
Yep.
I sincerely appreciate your contribution about the economy, and I want to even appreciate more Olumide because educating us more, stock trading, forex, and FX, and you too about the economy. Because one of the major problems I think we have education, most of the people are not informed or have the right information to make the proper arguments or for proper solutions. Like, let's talk about the security challenges we have now. The first thing about the security affecting the economy is how do we make the right policy to affect our economy. So, on the first instance is let's make security as a business. So, like, we have our oil in Nigeria is even lesser than what most countries in Asia and North America have, but they are able to secure their pipeline. Even within the US with multi-diversity, they are able to do that because they make security as a business, even for the military or for the private entity. But in Nigeria, we do that in such a way that we create bottleneck and ethnicity in the way we attract our security. That okay, one aspect should be able to secure this aspect because they know that part more. Rather than we should be able to use data points to know what to do. I have an engineering background, and when I know that okay, if let's just say an oil well is pumping at particular flow rate, you will always know the certain output at the end. So when the certain output is dropping, you can know that okay, something is happening in the midpoint. How do we want to solve this? So once you pump in, you know what you are getting outside. And if it's lesser, the security should be able to account for it. And once they are able to do that, you can incentivize the security more, like a bounty on that, to do more things about clearing these particular challenges. And when it comes to our exports is is not wise enough because largest percentage of Nigeria didn't know what to do about it. And when it comes to stock trading, is what the economy is actually US are actually making more things because Nigeria has few companies listed on the exchange, but those people listed on the exchange are enjoying the most. But most Nigeria doesn't even know what it's all about. And if we have more companies on the exchange, we have more companies to have the little changes we have in Naira to support them, and more companies can go more in exports because they are coming from investors, local investors that will be able to push them forward. And when it comes to our forest, and we are talking about P2P, the major problem we have is how we will want to solve our KYC issues because everybody talks about financing terrorism, financing that. We need to talk about okay, how do we come in as an individual to solve our KYC issue? How do people finance and we are able to track them and we are able to get more liquidity into the country and more FS into the country? And that will solve many problems in terms of ease of doing business. And major thing we need to educate people about it's not educating in terms of politics. It's not just about talking to talking to executive. Our major problem is electing the right legislator to do the right policy, the right bills. We have bunch of guys in Abuja doing bunch of nonsense, but we need to educate people that okay, these are the right people, these are the right set of people. It's not just your governor. It is the major thing Nigeria needs.
Gotcha.
Better assembly, better representative. We need people that can come together and know that this is what we need. Then the executive will fall in line. But every time we focus most of our attention on the executive, governor, president, and the rest, they do what they want to do because the legislators are useless. They just want to sit there, make what they want to make, and go in another circle. Legislative is you can be in Senate for 20 years and still be doing nonsense, and your constituency are still there. But when we are able to understand proper education about our social economy, political economy, then Nigeria is able to move forward. But at this moment, we have fewer than 10% of Nigeria that knows more about the economy, the social politics, and even the cultural
I
economy
got you.
in development. So we
All
need
right,
to
Lenny.
like
Yeah, thanks. I mean,
okay, we need to just come together and educate ourselves. Thank
gotcha.
you. Thank you.
Gotcha. Only, I mean, we're about to round up and all that, right? this space was really about the CBN removing the FX ban on poetry items. But in your opening comments, right, you brought in a lot of issues that, even if this is taken away, this does not really change the needle, right? It doesn't move that needle in terms of supply. Number one, you said there's supply, but it's not going to the CBN. That's number one. I mean, you quoted the 56 trillion coming into the Nigerian economy, but not going to the Central Bank of Nigeria. And number two, you've also spoken about, what's the word I want to use? The lack of coordination between the executive side and the CBN side, where with the executive side perhaps is spending and the CBN side is trying to pursue this monetary stability. I just want to get your final thoughts really on this before I let you go, because I know we'll be here for 2 hours, right? Is it your sense that we are in the right direction and we just have to run faster? Or are we still in the wrong direction and we're just maybe not moving? But would you say we're now in the right direction and now we have to then run faster to achieve our monetary and exchange policy goals? What do you think?
A very tricky question. So when the president came to power, his body language and statements really showed some sign of hopes at least in the markets, And there was this FT report that validated some of my concerns. I recall that I was quite critical of the way the CBN, the former CBN governor was treated. And throws up propaganda so like, the market is rising. They didn't get the message. Because you see, one of the things I noticed about foreign portfolio investors around the world is that they are very particular more about how institutions are react and how they are being accepted. We had discrepancies in our Apex Bank's FX account. We also had issues with petrol subsidy, and the petrol subsidy was removed. Now it looks like it's coming back. So there was this damning report by FT. There was downgrades by different benchmarks. But still at that, the opportunities. So it's more like there was a direction, but now the direction is freezing. So I would prefer that we were in the wrong direction, because if we're in the wrong direction, the reaction would have maybe made the driver, people be screaming us, the driver would at least turn around.
Interesting.
The reason why we're not screaming so much right now is because we're not seeing the impact yet. And why I'm very, very worried is that how can you explain in larger context, that you have a market where successful brands like UBA, MTN, EcoBank, GT, Computer Warehouse Group, and many companies, you now have a cumulative value of $40 billion. It tells you that you've suppressed the wealth of many Nigerians. And you see, if Dangote is worth $17 billion in today's Nigeria, trust me, if it was listed on the US stock market, we'll be talking about $30 to $50 billion. And that has really affected the residual income, because wealth, the stock market is the best place to grow wealth. In fact, we often target as the wealth amplifier. So it has really suppressed wealth. The FX market has suppressed wealth, made Nigeria a speculator's paradise, and also created some sort of distrust among the citizens. So my question was is like I feel that it's not late, because what the Apex Bank, we don't need calculus, economics, we don't need the FX market is not the derivatives market. So you need Glasgow's model, or you need to run some valuation codes to make the market readjust. No, what the market wants is efficiency, transparency, liquidity. Now, Cardoso, yes, he's doing quite, he has the right temperament. From what I've seen so far, the way he has been responding, his body language fits the job of the CPN. But the FX market cannot wait, because he has been quiet. He has been quiet until recently. We spoke in Morocco. He has been quiet. FX backlogs are still waiting. It's better he clears some and delays some than just saying you are quantifying and verifying the market. That's not a good sell. Then another thing again is that
the Minister of Finance shot himself in the foot. He first said that we're not going to the markets, we're not going to multinational, we're not going to get debt, we won't focus on community funds. Now, a few days ago, we talk about seeking World Bank $1.5 billion loan to for additional funds. So an average foreign investor, they will ask you that it's what are you saying? I am saying another thing. So these are things, conflicting signals. It has to stop. It has to stop. And finally, the president has to reduce the amount of appointments, particularly disappointment. Why do we have more than 18 media aids? What message are you sending? First of all, you complex the media with different complexity. We don't know who to listen to. We don't know who understands this. We don't know. So you see different policy messages sent to different systems. That's why you see some people, you see some artists, they break some news. You see it another place differently. Like the Minister of State of Petroleum saying that we produce 1.7 million barrels a day. OPEC is saying no, we produce 1.5 million barrels a day. These numbers are very important for planners. If we can't get these things accurately, then how do you plan a country? So these are my concerns.
Gotcha. So I mean, you are saying that for I mean, if I summarize your comments, not yet. You are hopeful, but you're not there yet, and you call out a few of the optics of the administration, and in terms of messaging, and in terms of the what we're seeing, lots of. I mean, it's almost like every week there's a new appointment of an aide for this. There's now an aide for, is it culture, or is it what is it, the one that Femi Dorota is doing? There's lots of aids. It looks like you get an aid, you get an aid, everyone gets an aid, like Oprah, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not really sure where that's going. We have to run a very lean government, and I see that the words and the actions of the guys that are leading the country right now do not show that there's a crisis. We're talking on the space now about the dollar crisis. We don't have dollar to fund imports. We're here, Nigerian banks can open up LCs, can get them funded. But the lifestyle and the spending of the government is not really jiving with what we on the ground are seeing. That's where I know I'm getting it wrong, or I think I'm getting it wrong. There is no speed, there is no urgency, there is no let's get this done today because we're not sure if tomorrow this thing will still be going on. We've seen, like you said, what happened in Israel, $30 billion released by the central bank immediately. But not just that, in America, Florida, New York, I think it's California and Texas, they all came together to buy Israeli bonds. And that takes the pressure off Israeli yields, which helps their economy. That's how you use your diaspora. You use your diaspora strategically. It's not the Jews, in quotes, buying those bonds, but it's Jews influencing the governments of those states to buy the bonds of Israel, which is helping the economy of Israel. So the diaspora person for the government has got to be, again, we have to go back to get someone that has gravitas. I don't mind someone like Tinelumelu being Minister of Diaspora. Someone that can go to Germany, go to the West and say, we want to get this done. He can communicate and talk in the language of FDIs, FPIs, and understand how to track those investments back home. Not just cash, but technology, opening doors for Nigeria, setting Nigeria's policies, getting across those things we want the Congress to see. I see him talking to everyone, the president of Germany, the chancellor of Germany. I see him talking to Biden. So he seems to have a way to get into these places. Tap that kind of guy, and say, hey, this is going to be your job for Nigeria. It's not going to take a salary, but we want you to open up doors for us, sell policy for us, sell our bonds, and that's going to be his job, right? The Minister of Diaspora has to be, that's going to be a cabinet level position, answering to the president to say, my job is to bring investment to Nigeria, to sell Nigeria's story outside. I think that's going to be a way we have to think outside the box to use the best that we have to get that what we want. But I just feel that we're moving a bit slow. We seem to be stuck. I'm not seeing an economic plan out here. These 43 items should have been done when we removed the peg. We're just doing it now. I think it's an administrative move. It helps, but it's not going to have any effect on the dollar exchange rate on Monday. That will be affected by demand and supply. And supply is coming from the crude oil we sell, which is going back to Niger Delta. And inflation is going to come from the stopping of the bandits that are keep causing food prices to go high. So the crude oil prices in the Niger Delta, food inflation in the Middle Belt, if we can fix those two issues, then the economy can then start to react to these policy moves by the central bank and Minister of Finance. That's my own take. For now, I think the army has got to get involved in the security, right? We have to focus on the security aspect first to allow the policies to then work. If we take NPR to 25, it's not going to fix inflation. It's not going to cause oil to pump out of the ground. Sadly, it's back to a security issue. That's just my take. So, guys, we're going to round up now. Olumide, I'm going to have any last words, and then we'll just sort of close down the space.
Yeah, I think you said it all. I just wanted to also talk about the fact that we also need to look at whether there are a lot of opportunities in the country. In fact, with the problems facing the Nigerian space, I still tell investors, analysts, people I work with in different parts of the world that Nigeria is still the best market. Because, if you look at the valuations of our companies, you look at the prospects, you look at the entities, there's no better place to make money than Nigeria. And that's why I said, see, the president, if he can give whatever mechanism to ensure accountability in the system and allow the CBN have an efficient FX market, trust me, even if this is 1,500, let it be stable for 1 year. A lot of people will plan with this. You cannot expect a petrol market that takes a couple of 2 to 3 weeks to ship in to be trading at the volatility of the naira. Bitcoin is less volatile than the naira in the past 1 month. That is how bad the naira has become. So these are concerns I really have, and I just wish that the president succeeds because it's our own interest the president succeeds. And despite criticism about some of the policies, we all want a better Nigeria.
Gotcha. I mean, that's like good point you made there in closing. So we just have to all arms on deck. Have to stop spending our scarce forex to buy cars for National Assembly members. Things like that make people annoyed and they turn people off the reforms, right? We are in it together. If you want to sacrifice, show us how you've sacrificed and then ask me to sacrifice. So we're all in it together. Let's get the country moving. Stability. We want stability. It's not really if it's expensive or cheap, but stability. If we can plan around an amount, if it's 1,500 but it's stable, then we can plan, put our anchor in the water, understand where we are, then walk back and then see how we can increase or reduce as the case may be. So I'm hearing you say stability is more important than the actual, trying to merge the rates per se. If we can get this rate stable, and stability means supply. There's no stability without supply. If the funds are coming in, then you can then have a stable rate because it can only go down. People don't mind it going down, but stability means we want it to go up. If I'm planning and it goes down, I win. But if it starts to go up, I lose. And that's what I hear you saying, Olumide. All right, folks, thank you so much for tuning in with us. We do appreciate it. We're going to shut down a bit early. Normally we stay for 3 hours, but hey, we'll be here for about 2 hours, 15 minutes. So I thank you all for contributing and speaking. I appreciate all the comments. It's one Nigeria, and we're all part of the journey on. All right, guys, take care of yourselves. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much.
And I wanted to comment to Vatana's like easy.
If you make a quick one, I'll take it, sir.
Okay, for the oil, for oil to disappear at the ship base, the commandant on that this is culpable. So we need to just fish out the thieves among those in the military, those in the different ministries, diplomatic agencies and parastatals. Once we fish them out, you will see oil will not be studied again.
We've done that.
Also, for these effects we don't have. Just fish out those that are making our currency unstable. Those are the figures. Which time the thing goes high, those are the figures among the bankers, committee of bankers. Once you fish them out, trust me, all these going up and down, those in CBN, once you fish them out, this thing will just stop.
Bankers are not the problem.
Our problems are just man-made. Thank you.
Bankers are not the problem. Let's leave bankers out of it. Bankers are not the problem, right? It's a free market. Bankers are just a part of that market. So that's what I'll say. All right, folks. Thank you so much. You guys have a good day and bye.